Good evening and welcome to Loquacious Libations.
We are live.
We are live with Gin Gems 1.5. That's the way I've been writing it anyway.
Well, tonight we have a really classic old drink, man. I shouldn't even call it a drink. It's a cocktail.
A classic cocktail.
This
what do we
is
got tonight?
a man's cocktail. Dates back to the 1800s, the late 1800s. It's called the Martinez. It's somewhat of a complex cocktail, and a lot of people say it was the precursor to the martini. The origin, nobody really knows for sure what the origin of this cocktail is. I have my own suspicions that it was actually an Italian cocktail because of the liqueurs that go into it. But there's an origin story that comes out of New York City that Herberto Martinez originated this cocktail. I don't think that that's correct because that's dated to 1886.
Hi, Carmen.
Hi, Carmen. And there is a earlier copy of this in Jerry Thomas's Bartender's Guide in 1875 or 8 or one of those right in there. Wow. I think it's a second edition. Had the Martinez cocktail. I think that, and then there's another one that came out of the city of Martinez, California, which is in the San Francisco Bay Area, which would make some kind of sense that I would give that some credence. But I personally think that since we're dealing with two Northern Italian things, it could have been somebody. There's a big Italian presence in San Francisco, so that could be Martinez story would make sense there then. So
there you go.
The key to this cocktail, and usually we dick around.
Right. Tonight we can't.
And we're not. Yeah, we can't. The key to this week and next week also is to make this a smooth cocktail is you want everything to be cold. So everything that can be frozen has been frozen. The glasses, the gin, and everything that's been refrigerated can be refrigerated, meaning the liqueurs, the bitters, and the lemon itself. So why is that so important? Well, it just makes for a smoother, easier to drink cocktail. Gotcha. I would say this is the kind of cocktail my grandfather always used to say, this is a man's cocktail. Now, why? I've seen plenty of women drink this cocktail, but it's just a strong cocktail.
Right.
Okay. So, without further ado, let's just get to mixing. It's a pretty simple recipe. We'll start with the bitters. 4 dashes of orange bitters. I have Angostura I like. If you can't find this, find Fee Brothers. Fee Brothers is more of a candied orange. This is a little more bitter. Now these are both sweet liqueurs, and I'm going to have you taste this one, just so you can get the flavor. I know you know what the Coqui di Torino tastes like. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 of those. Oh, let's do the gin next.
There are 2 faithful ladies out there. Sherry and Carmen are out there watching.
Well, good. Hope they're making this cocktail with us. Ounce and a half of gin. Oh.
Here we go again.
Now, another thing that's important, and Michael just learned this lesson a couple weeks ago, with vermouths and sherries, you have to refrigerate these. Right. If you don't, they're going to go bad. Now, Michael went out and bought himself a bottle of sweet vermouth.
For when we did the Manhattan.
And he decided to make himself a Manhattan during the week. And he asked me, he called me up, he says, hey, does vermouth go bad? Yes, it does.
I'm glad I did not start making that drink before I called you.
Oh, well, you're getting some
there we go.
serious amount of vermouth. A little extra chocolate flavored vermouth there for you.
I'm not going to complain about that.
I almost dropped the whole thing.
Oh boy.
But you know,
Good job.
no, see,
Good catch.
Prior to us coming online, both of us have had really off weeks. I mean, just not on my A game, not even close to. I mean, I've been playing little. See, I can't even think of what I was going to say now. I've been playing small ball all week. I don't know what it is. I don't know what's going on.
Speaking of small ball and Little League, Lake Mary. Lake Mary won the Little League championship.
Oh, wow.
World Series against Chinese Taipei, Taiwan.
Now we're introducing a new liqueur this week, Luxardo. I'm going to put this up. Maraschino liqueur. This is not at all what you brine cherries in.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
It smells very different.
Yeah. Got a very sweet.
It's got some sweetness to it.
Ooh. Got a little bite to it too.
Yeah, it does. Got a little bite. And it's
yeah, it's got a little strength to it. Almost a little minty.
It is different. It's very herbal. It's not what you would expect because of the name. And
a little licorice, a little mint.
Yep. Only a quarter of an ounce.
Yeah, I can tell why you wouldn't want too much.
Yeah, because if you don't, it overpowers the drink.
Speaking of.
Yeah, clean your palate.
Glad I got that.
This is a stirred cocktail. There we go. And you want to give it a 30-second stir.
In the meantime, while he's doing that, we'll remind you all that if you haven't already, please subscribe to our YouTube. That's youtube.com/Loquacious Libations. Scott's also handling our Instagram. That one is Loquacious_Libations.
Which I'm sorry, I apologize this week. I was, like I said, I had a very off week. I did not post a single Instagram post this week.
I didn't do any extra posts.
Shame on me.
No video production or anything, except for when I finally got everything together Saturday morning and got last week's up. Of course, I think we avoided our little normal tech shit at the beginning this week. Our microphones were on, cameras in the right direction.
Unusual for us. Okay.
Yeah.
You finish this cocktail with a lemon rind. You spritz the oil right on the top of the cocktail. And then we'll do a airplane presentation. Well, I call it the airplane presentation. To me, it just looks like a little airplane.
Fancy cocktail swords here. Very nice.
That works.
That works for me too.
All right. I'm just going to build mine right on top of the ice that's already in there, which is a terrible. Yes, you can call me a bad bartender tonight. I'm sorry. I don't have my A game with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. That probably is. Oh, that'll get washed down.
Think so?
Yeah. That's one of the most important parts. Now there is.
Just doing it all on the bottom first.
There's a very important I wouldn't say important, but a very well-known bartender that makes this drink. There's a lot of different ways to make this drink. Some recipes call for orange curacao rather than orange bitters. There's a very popular bartender in Chicago that makes this with a 1/4 ounce of orange bitters, which I think is way overkill. I mean, but he's also known for, he's the bartender that will do bitter shots.
Right. That sounds a little rough.
Which is a little crazy to me, too.
Right? I'm noticing our view here. I was just making sure that this thing could be seen.
This is a pretty cocktail, isn't it?
I'll tell you what. Let me do it the other way. I'm going to show you guys right up front here. See that pretty moon?
Yeah, it's the copper-colored cocktail.
Copper-colored cocktail. Now my lemon's floating. That's all right.
Well, you can see the oil. If you look
Yeah,
at
I
it,
see
you
it.
see the oil that's
As you
dancing
said
on
that,
top.
I noticed it, yeah. I doubt very seriously we can catch that up here, but we'll try and see if we can catch a little bit of light. I can't get it low enough to do it. I think. But just make sure we're not, dreaming that we got all the tech stuff out there. Everybody can hear us okay and see everything right and all that. Yeah, it's definitely been another one of those crazy weeks out in the world.
I mean, the amount of craziness is starting to speed up.
Yeah.
I mean, and what we should do is, we always kind of do this, but what's today's date? Today's the
29th.
29th?
Yeah. Right?
28th or 29th?
28th. Excuse me.
Okay.
Sorry.
So it's August 28th, 2024. So in the last week, we've had the Telegram CEO get arrested in France. He was lured to France and then arrested when he arrived. Okay, because he won't censor speech on his platform.
Right.
The CEO
Turn over records also.
The CEO of Rumble then fled Europe in fear for his freedom.
Right.
When he noticed that happening, which I have to say I can't blame him for that.
No kidding.
The hell with it. I'm just putting it in.
No sword for you, sir.
No sword. On guard.
Gold sound so far. Good sound so far. The stage is great. Hatter's a little muffled. That's probably because I mumble.
Yeah. Well, it's because you got it up on your collar.
Yeah, let's try this.
That's something we've learned. These mics, you got to put them on your shirt.
Yeah.
Which makes our shirts look funny, but
not exactly a standard lapel mic.
No. But anyways, the other thing that happened now, we've gotten through both political conventions, but we've had a legacy. Now, who would have ever thought this would happen? If you would have told me last year that a legacy.
Oh, it's cold.
Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers to you all.
Cheers to you. Real drink.
Mm. Mm. Wow. That's nice.
It is nice. The gin doesn't blow through hard, but it's there. Mm-hmm. It's kind of in the mid palate. But then you get
that's got a lot.
These balance really. This is a very balanced cocktail. What's nice too is on the very end that lemon oil comes through.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's not like Lemon Pledge.
It stays on your lips too.
It's there.
You feel that citrus tingle.
Yeah, this is
very nice.
This is on the sweet side still, which is why the folks that make this with orange curacao, orange curacao, even though it's dry, it is a little sweet, and I think that would be too much. That's why you got to make this with the bitters.
Right. Back to what you were saying.
All right. So we had now, if you would have told me that this was coming a year ago, I would have laughed you out of the room.
Right.
But we had a legacy American royalty family from one party, dominant, and drop out of the presidential race and endorse the opponent.
First he left the other party, then even running as an independent. Now he's dropped out, and
I mean, but if you would have ever told me that was in the cards, I would have
possibility
laughed you out of the room.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we had another very popular politician, the congresswoman from Hawaii, that left the party now and has made that same endorsement following him. I think she's kind of riding her coattails, but I mean, she's been, and that's not really as much as a surprise.
I was thinking more of it as a staged, because, I mean, come on. The one that dropped out, he pretty much announced like 3 days ahead of time that he was going to drop out. There was a big announcement from this guy and a big announcement from this guy, and they coincided in the same city. And then there was also a leak of some legal documents that came out the day before.
I think it was forecasted. I think, it's pretty. It was easy to see within 3 days. But again, I had an interesting conversation this week too. If you would have told me, again, a year ago or 6 months ago, when
Any of this would be.
I would have just left. Now, here's the other thing. My wife said something to me, and I said it to you last week, but then she added to it this week.
Okay.
About 7 or 8 weeks ago, I said, in a kind of an offhanded way, I said, if there's going to be an election, hint, hint. And I said it on our podcast or on our live stream.
Right.
I don't know if any of you remember that. And then last week I asked you, I said, how much political mail have you received? And how much political junk mail have you got?
Haven't gotten
how much political junk mail have you seen in your mailbox?
Listen, I haven't even gotten a sample ballot.
Okay. Now let's think about this. We are
For any of the primaries or anything.
We are 63 or 4 days away from the election. In other words, we're 2 months away.
Yeah.
How many yard signs have you seen?
I've seen more bumper stickers than I have yard signs. But there's millions and millions of dollars being spent on this. Is it all going TV advertising? And, well, see, here, I don't watch.
My question is it really being spent?
Right. I don't watch live TV anymore, period, anyway. Not many people do, I don't think. I don't think many people really watch the major 3 networks like we used to for your shows and your news and all that.
And we're spending too much time on the craziness.
Yeah.
We are.
Yeah.
But I agree, and I think it's an important footnote because as we're getting closer to this, but I had a conversation with somebody this week, a friend of mine that's in South Africa. And they basically were saying, because I made the statement 6 months ago, if you would have told me that Bobby Kennedy would not be a Democrat, leave the Democratic Party, drop out of the race, and endorse a Republican, I would have laughed you out of the room. And their response was, look at yourself in the mirror today. Mm-hmm. You will not recognize that person 6 months from now. Because they believe, again, that so much is going to change in America. Well, and the gentleman that I know, they live in South Africa because he's married to a South African.
Right.
But he is an expat. Okay, he's a former Marine that I served with, and I've stayed in contact with. That married a hellaciously, ridiculously gorgeous woman. That I'm sure that their family they have an Italian. She has an Italian name, but she is as blonde-haired and blue-eyed as you can possibly imagine. So a blonde-haired, blue-eyed person in South Africa is probably their family came there in 1945.
Right. Oh man, this is very tasty.
You like it?
Yeah, I do.
I
get the bitters more than I have in some of the other stuff for sure.
It needs the bitters.
Yeah. It's all the way in the back is where I'm getting that.
It's orange bitter, so it's a little different spin on that bitters. It's not as herbal.
I'm also getting the orange versus the lemon there too, with the lemon oils in there.
The lemon is very important in here. If you have this cocktail without spritzing that lemon oil on there, it's not the same cocktail. It's just not. But yeah, this is a complex cocktail.
Yep.
And basically, this recipe that I made is pretty much harkens back to Jerry Thomas's original print. So I think that this is probably very close to how it originated. I personally believe it came out of Martinez, California.
Right.
Because there's such a big Italian population in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Right.
That it makes sense that these liqueurs would be in it. So, no, I did learn something else staying on the alcohol thing.
Okay.
There's an alcohol, and you might have seen it on your grandfather's shelf at one point in time.
Okay.
It's called chartreuse.
Can't say that I did.
Okay. Very popular liqueur. They make it in yellow and green chartreuse, and it's made by. It's like the Benedictine. Benedictine is still made by the Benedictine monks. Well, the Chartreusian monks are the only place that it's made. It's 137 ingredients. It's the same recipe since like 1600s. Mm-hmm. I just found out, and this has been going on for about a year and a half. There's a couple of cocktails that I wanted to make, but it takes green chartreuse. So
Right.
I was in a couple of stores this week to pick up a couple of different things, kind of seeing what's coming in the future.
Right. Planning ahead, right?
Planning ahead. And nobody has chartreuse. So I stopped somebody at the Good Pour and said, hey, do you guys ever get this? And they're like, we haven't seen that in 2 years.
Wow.
Well, I come to find out that the Chartreusian monks have decided to really pare back the production of it
Right.
and do more monk things. I guess
Gotcha.
put more prayers up and whatever that stuff. So I think that's kind of interesting. But what's more interesting to me is you can get it because I'm like, oh my, because there's a couple really great cocktails that are made with chartreuse.
Right.
So I'm looking for one of the pony bottles, and we'll see.
I'm having a palate cleanse every once in a while because of how thick that. You know what?
Yes,
I mean?
this is very viscous. But I'll tell you what's important about that viscosity. That viscosity comes because this is so cold.
Right.
Now here, a couple things too that I should talk about before I'll come back to the chartreuse.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Tangent.
When you freeze gin or vodka, okay, the viscosity level of the liquor goes up. Okay, so it almost becomes, when you get it really, there are bars, like, if you want a really classic martini, the best bars to find that are in New York or London.
Right.
Okay? One of the most famous bars in the world to get a martini is Duke's. Duke's on St. James Street. It's a hotel. It's a 5-star hotel. They're famous for the Vesper, but they take their number 3. I've mentioned that. The number 3 gin, which is made in the same, it's like Bowman Brothers, and they're located on number 3 Chancery Street, London. Mm-hmm. They put it in a freezer that's at 20 degrees below Fahrenheit.
Wow.
So, and they keep it that way. Now, the other stuff, what's important if you're going to freeze liquor, okay, you can't freeze this, you can't freeze this, you can't freeze anything that's 80 proof or lower. It's got to be above 80 proof. So if it's 80 proof, which this is 84 proof, it's 83.6, I think.
Right.
Okay. If you freeze
Trying to
it,
get the set down here, y'all. As far as where we put things.
if you freeze it, you'll form water crystals in there. Well, once you do that, then methanol forms, which makes you go blind and makes you go crazy. So,
yeah, we don't want to do that.
Which is how Applejack was originally made.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
People would take hard cider. They would take the hard cider. They'd put it outside in the fall, let it freeze, then scrape the ice off. The methanol would go off with the ice, okay? And then what was left was a more distilled version of hard cider, which became known as Applejack.
Gotcha.
And I only know that because, well, growing up where I grew up,
Right.
we had real winter. So as stupid kids, what would we do? Well, we'd take some bread yeast and we'd take a bottle of apple cider when it got halfway down, put some yeast in there, let it ferment, and get ourselves some hard cider.
Right.
And then put it outside and take the ice off. And
That's hilarious.
well, there's a couple of drinks that we're going to have this fall that are more fall drinks that are made with Applejack. But I'm going to make them with or apple brandy.
Okay.
Is really what Applejack is, apple brandy now. But I'm going to make it with Calvados, since I have a bottle of Calvados
Right.
that I'm using cooking. Calvados chicken, if you ever want to have a great French dish, that's it.
All right.
But I was doing some research today in my funk on, kind of stuff that I see that, okay, what are we going to do? I have a bunch of ideas in my head, so.
He's the content master over here.
No, I'm not the content master.
Not really. we do collaborate on all this stuff. He just likes to surprise me with stuff every once in a while.
I do. I'm here. You know, it's a personality trait. It really is.
Yeah.
I'm a gifter. I like giving gifts, and I like giving surprise gifts.
Right.
It's just one of my favorite things to do. I like to surprise people with great food because I don't look like I know how to cook.
He gave me a couple of lessons when I moved in here, and yeah, it really helped.
Yeah, no,
Matter of fact, I made the homemade spaghetti this past
I was
weekend.
just going to say I taught him how to make, but it's got a real name in it. It's Swiss cheese.
Yeah,
It's just so bad this week. I'm so terrible.
So, one of the only things complex
Bolognese.
that
Bolognese.
Right.
I taught him how to make bolognese. Real bolognese.
So one of the only complex things that I cook is based on my mother's homemade spaghetti. And so Scott showed me a couple of twists to it to add to it. And so,
Just give it more depth of flavor.
Yeah. Oh, it really does too. Aiden
Yeah.
was impressed. I froze a little bit for him and let him have some of it.
Oh, yeah, man.
He was happy with it. I'm thinking about taking what I've got left in the freezer and actually making lasagna out of it.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Absolutely perfect.
It's perfect for that meat sauce later.
You know, or this time of year, there's a lot of eggplant in the market right now.
You know what?
You make
Yeah.
eggplant parm and put that on there.
Oh man, that would okay. That's not it.
Yeah, no. See,
I might be calling you for some tips.
I'm
there.
very into. Well, here, just the easiest way to make eggplant parm is I just call it eggplant lasagna.
Okay.
You make the eggplant parm. You bread it and fry it like chicken.
Right.
Okay, then layer it, Parmesan cheese sauce. Layer Parmesan cheese sauce. Last layer, mozzarella cheese on the top. Parmesan cheese on top of that. Cook that bitch for
Hell yeah, man.
for like
All
an
right.
hour and a half, and
I'll be running this back to do that, I think.
yeah, man. Oh, that's just deliciousness.
I might even be able to get Betty to try it.
Yeah, that's early fall to me, and we're coming into my favorite season. Once we get to October,
Well, you know, what's this weekend?
I know
Well, actually, last weekend was the actual kickoff, but yeah, Gator football's back.
yeah. So I mean, the football season kicks off. You know, and it's funny because, oh man, what the heck is going on with me? I just, again, you know, I just spent such an off week. I just don't know why either.
By the way,
Because, okay.
I don't know if you noticed, but I've been kind of switching out what's on the speakers back here a little bit here and there. Just to,
Well, I love the shit out of this.
yeah, I figured you might. That's actually our Yahtzee set.
For those of you that know, you know.
Yes.
I have to tell you something.
Okay.
I mean, you know where eventually I'm going to end up, and I have had prophetic dreams that have
We're right.
told me that you're going to be there too.
Sweet.
Okay. In the house that I want to build,
Uh-huh.
I know you know that I want to build a speakeasy.
Yes.
Okay. To
Yes.
get into the speakeasy.
Oh, yes. It's bigger on the inside. Excuse me, just one moment. Here, let's see. Yeah. Here we go. Sorry, guys. Costume change.
Oh, awesome. Awesome.
And this is why they call me Hatter. Hey, Wayne, how you doing tonight, man?
Which Wayne?
Wayne Kelly. That would be Crown.
Yep. Crown. I was thinking about you this week, Wayne, because I've been kind of forecasting some of the things that I want to do coming up here in the fall. And Crown is on my list.
Nice.
I mean,
Here, I've got an idea. If we ever have the ladies back in, say for, Halloween or something like that, I don't know. This might be apple, right? Crown, apple.
well,
Instead of having Crown apple, make our own, like a Crown apple smash.
okay, what I kind of had in my mind, since really of all the Canadian whiskeys, I mean, there's some really good craft Canadian distilleries that have popped up. but they don't have the same laws and regulations as we have here in the United States. So it's much more difficult for craft stuff to pop up there.
Right.
So in my opinion, still the best Canadian whiskey that you can get is Crown Royal. I mean, it is good whiskey. It's a little sweeter. All the Canadian whiskeys are a little sweeter, but you can make. There's a cocktail out there called the Maple Smash.
Okay.
So that's what I'm like. I said to myself,
because I love a good smash already.
I know that, and I said to
like
myself,
my
I said,
favorites.
this is perfect fall cocktail. Wayne Kelly will be happy with us because we were using Crown. And then
there you go.
It gives me an excuse to kind of finish the bottle of Crown that I have.
There you go. And by the way, hat of the week, the one that I was wearing when I came on tonight. This is from Arches National Park. My son just returned from Colorado. There we go. There's a good shot of it. And so thank you, Aiden, for bringing that back for me to add to my extensive collection.
Yeah, here, I wear like 3 hats.
Right.
This is one of them.
Yep.
That,
the Abbey Med, and
my Marine Corps hat.
One.
Yeah.
But you see, I could have gone a whole different direction for tonight already, too. Watch this.
Well, yeah, I know you're going to bring a flash hat back.
Yeah,
you got to be.
Like I said, there is a reason they call me Hatter.
Oh, that's a nice one too, man. That's a leather hat, y'all.
Yes, it is.
So
we got Aiden has one of these too.
Here, you know what you just heard? You heard his influence on my Yankee ass right there.
Yeah, there's been a little bit of that.
Oh, a little bit.
Just a touch.
A little bit.
12 years worth.
Now, another thing about this cocktail that's kind of nice, it changes a little bit as you...
Yeah.
It gets better as it goes down.
It's a little bit sweeter. It almost seems less strong. The bitters kind of even out some.
I'm getting a lot more orange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And still getting plenty of the lemon oil.
Oh yeah, because it sits in the drink, so it leaches out into the cocktail.
That is a very nice.
Yeah, no, this is a really good cocktail.
No, you definitely set out to.
I'm set out to
correct me on my gin.
And I set out to graduate you to the pinnacle of the gin cocktail,
right.
Which is really, we talked about this a little bit right before we went live. Next week is kind of the pinnacle, one of the pinnacles of the cocktail world. The king of all cocktails is the martini. Now we're just going to make a very, very classic old turn of the 20th century is when that cocktail really came into fashion. Mm-hmm. And there's great debate over, 1905, 1903, 1900. Nobody really knows the origin of the martini. A lot of people call it came out of Italy with Martini and Rossi. They created the martini, and they're the ones that had the dry vermouth. But dry vermouth is known in France way prior to the turn of the century. People were drinking dry vermouth when Marie Antoinette probably was sipping on dry vermouth as an aperitif by itself. So, it's hard to say.
I've got to say, I'm impressed with this one.
I'm glad you liked this one. I was a little concerned, but not that concerned because I know you like a Manhattan.
Right.
So, and as I said last week, if you like gin but don't like a Manhattan, you should try this drink. If you like a Manhattan but think you don't like gin, you should try this drink.
Yep. I give it a vote. Yeah.
I would go so far to say as if you think you don't like gin, you should try every one of the cocktails that we've made, and then come back to me and tell me that gin sucks, because it doesn't.
Right. And you've proven that to me too. I mean, here, I was kind of thinking that it was just going to be like drinking some kind of pine tree or something.
No, well, first off, you got to have good gin.
Right.
Okay.
And I probably had crappy gin the first time I did it.
And, here we talked about...
It probably was like gin and tonic or,
It probably was, but it was probably... at best, it was probably Gordon's, which Gordon's...
let's put it this way. I was underage. I haven't had gin since I've been 21.
I mean, Gordon's is really
Before
now. And here's what's a shame.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to gin, Gordon's used to be a really good gin.
Mm-hmm.
When Ian Fleming wrote in his book Casino Royale, "Give me a martini shaken, not stirred." Wait a minute. 1 measure of vodka, 2 measures of Gordon's, and a half measure of Canelale, which is the Vesper,
Right.
which is, I mean, that's the classic line that created that drink. Well, back when Fleming wrote that in the late 50s, Gordon's gin was a top shelf gin.
Right.
You know, and that preceded, you know, people in this country in the 1960s, the late 50s and 1960s, the clear liquors started taking off.
Right.
Where we had a shift from whiskey into clear liquors, up
Vodkas,
through
gins.
up through right vodkas and gins up and through the the late 1900s, you know, 1990s. But then all of a sudden, whiskey came back around. We had a cocktail renaissance, and people were starting to try to revive gin. Like there's a great cocktail that I didn't put in. We'll have this eventually, because we'll come back to gin.
Oh yeah.
Now that you've learned that there are gin cocktails that are just absolutely smashingly good. We'll come back to some cocktails that were created in the early 2000s that are modern classics. Like there's a cocktail made with Earl Grey.
Really?
That's a gin cocktail, and it's stellar. Absolutely stellar.
We'll have to have Starfleet shirts on that night.
Oh, you're on. You're on. Yes, for those of you that don't know, Captain Picard always had Earl Grey tea.
Bald guys, Earl Grey.
Yeah,
you gotta have the Starfleet shirt.
And here, I was fortunate. I was very fortunate that my career path kept me in New York at least once a week, all throughout the early 2000s when the cocktail renaissance started happening. So I started having, all of a sudden, stuff started showing up on cocktail menus that was different, but it was a riff on this or a riff on that and stuff that I knew. And I'm just like, hey, I remember that when I was a kid. I remember that. And I was fortunate that I had grandparents that were the country club cocktail crowd.
Right.
My mother's parents, that was their world.
My granddad was the cocktail crowd. My grandmother was the country club cloud.
Okay.
Yeah, I said that wrong, but you got it.
Yeah, no, I got it.
Yeah.
You know, now what's funny is now, and I've told you this in the past. My dad's dad was blue collar. Mm-hmm. He was a man's man if there ever was one. I mean, if you look up man's man in the dictionary, there's a picture of my grandfather there. I mean, let's just put it that way.
I say mine was blue collar, but he was the accounting side of it.
Okay.
So he was Ford Motor Company.
Yeah. Now here,
Now
I guess you got to think about how crazy the world is.
Mm-hmm.
My mother's dad, my grandfather, he was an accountant for American Motors. He came back.
Really?
He came back from the Second World War. Now here's what's funny though. What did he do in the Second World War? Well, he flew a P-51 Mustang.
Okay.
So now you would think that a guy like that is a man's man, because those fuckers would come back from combat every single day, drink themselves silly, and then get up the next day and do it again.
Go do it again.
And do it again. And do it again. Now,
they probably had to be able to do it, knowing what they were doing.
Well,
I mean, I can't imagine
that
any of you guys that served in a combat situation. I got an immense amount of respect for you guys. I mean, I'm serious.
Oh, yeah, you know, I appreciate that, but it's not. Now, what he did compared to what I did is very different.
I realize it's totally different, but I'm just saying, knowing that lives are on the line.
But it's so you know, knowing my grandfather, and I did. I mean, unfortunately, he died when I was in high school. Yeah. But it was knowing that about him was very out of character for him,
right?
Because when he came back from the war, he was not a pilot. You would think a lot of those guys went to work for Howard Hughes, for TWA, and
right.
and United, and
But he went accounting.
no, he was an accountant. He was an accountant before he went, but he had a chance because he had a college diploma,
Right.
and he always wanted to fly. So when the war broke out, he went
For
along with a
aviation.
lot of other people and said, "Hey, I want to." At first, they didn't want to let him in because he already had kids. He was married and had kids.
Right.
But he was like adamant, refused not to.
I want to do my part.
Yeah.
Right.
So, which again, out of character.
My granddad tried to do his part, but he was classified 4F. He had a defect in his sternum right here. So, you know how the sternum covers the solar plexus right here.
Mm-hmm.
His had an empty spot. So
Oh,
if he had been
that's
hit
so
at all
unusual.
right here, he's gone. You know. So, but yeah, he had a hollow spot.
Yeah. I
in his
know.
chest
What
right
you're
here.
talking about.
He had. I mean, it sunk in right here.
That's very
It was
unusual.
concave.
I knew a kid. Well, and I only knew this because there was a girl that if by wild circumstance, the universe allows this girl to see this broadcast, I'm going to say her name.
Someday, yeah. Call her today. Yeah. Speak it in.
Stacy Lawrence.
Okay.
And she unfortunately moved from my hometown when I think we were in freshman in high school. She's one of the sexiest girls on the face of the planet. She was a neat girl. Her brother had that same thing.
That same thing.
Yeah.
Wow. Because that's pretty rare.
Oh, I would
I
think.
can't think of anybody else I've ever known about having it at all. That's really odd. Cool. But yeah, he was classified 4F because of that. Now here's the funny part. He and his brother Gene, which my brother is named after,
Okay.
Gene Britton,
Yep.
which was on here a few weeks ago with us on the chat. But Uncle Gene was an accountant for General Motors.
Oh, isn't that crazy?
Well, they were very competitive with each other. So I'm not sure who got the job at which company first, but I just about guarantee you it was intentional for the other one to go the other
Well,
direction.
you know what though? It could have been like you and I with saying, "Hey, when I told you go into the banking business,
Right.
because it's great business, because it's a business I understood."
Yeah.
And I said, even on at the retail side, it's a great business to be in.
Yeah. And that was some of the funnest work I've ever done right there. That 7 years, except for the high pressure stress part of it that helped cause the.
Yeah, no, I know firsthand.
Yeah. Not fun being responsible for that amount of money. Just no.
No, I get it.
I'm
But
not talking about from the retail side. I'm talking about from the loan side, as far as that was. Mike Bloodworth. Wow, dude. Hateville High School.
I was going to say, which high school?
Hateville High School. Holy crap. Thanks for watching, Mike. Mike.
You don't recognize him, do you?
Yeah, you probably don't, because I had
he-
hair probably the last time you saw me. I was some skinny little runt that probably weighed, at the time he knew me, maybe 80 to 90 pounds soaking wet. I was, dude.
I can't
was
imagine
skinny
you
as hell.
80 to 90 pounds.
Yeah, well, you've seen the
I've
the
seen
Rough
it.
and Ready video. I was
And you were probably 140 pounds, 130 pounds.
135, 140, right
Okay.
around there. When I graduated high school, I was 125 pounds wearing 29-inch waist Levi's. Not 28, not 30, 29. I had to find the 29s. But Mike, thank you very much for joining, brother. It's good to see you out there.
Well, that's
I was a band nerd. He was a jock, but
that's one of the most refreshing things that happens almost every week on our live stream.
I can't tell y'all how much I appreciate it.
Somebody shows up from one of your high school friends, or an acquaintance,
Right.
will show up on our live
Some
stream, and I
stage
think
in
it's
my life,
fantastic.
right.
And the reason that none of mine show up is because we don't market those people because I don't really like them. There's a few that I really love to death, and I could name them on these two hands. So now I went to a school of about 1,200 kids, all 4 grades. Now,
Wait, 1,200 kids?
yeah, about
Okay.
that.
Our schools were much smaller than that, as far as that goes, even though we were suburban Atlanta.
Yeah, which is kind of surprises
And
me.
we had 30 people in the band.
Well,
10 of us were drummers.
you had a great drum corps.
Oh, yeah, we did. We had me, I was the bass drummer.
Uh-huh.
Mikey, the bass drummer. Mike, I don't know if you remember that or not, but that was my nickname back then, was Mikey. I won't really go into why I was called Mikey, but it started out as
Mikey, he likes it.
Well, it started out as a picking on me thing, and then it kind of became an endearing thing. I was kind of the mascot of the band at some point. Not exactly, but because I don't want to overstate that either. But
Yeah, no, I get it.
you get it. I ended up with a nickname, and not many kids had a nickname that they ended up putting on the back of their band shirt.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
So I had Mikey on the back of my band shirt instead of Michael, because of all this. Anyway, point being, I was a band nerd. He was football team, and we were a very small school, just on the outskirts of Atlanta. That at the time my mother went there had over 100 people in the marching band itself.
So the school just shrunk.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But think about it. Now, your mom was a boomer, right?
yeah. 46.
Okay. Well, if you think about it, we had this big baby boom, and technically, I think of myself as more of a latchkey kid because I was a latchkey kid.
Right.
But technically, according to the government, which of course I don't believe anything the government says.
Right.
I served in the Marine Corps. I don't believe anything the government tells us. I was the last year of the baby boom, 1963. So, but I'm a tweener.
Right.
And from me and...
So like where we have Zennials from the X to the Millennials, you're kind of a...
I mean, you're kind
Zoomer?
of in the same... Well,
Xoomer?
well, that's what they call the latchkey kids. You were a latchkey kid,
Right,
weren't
yeah.
you?
I was 69. So yeah, latchkey, 8 years old, dude.
Yeah.
I was walking home from school,
That was...
and walking in my house, I would lock the door behind me, latchkey, lock the door behind me, call my mom at work immediately and say, I'm home. Okay, get your homework done. I would get my homework done. I would fix myself a snack. I would go out and ride my bike for about an hour. I had to check in with my mom when I came back in from riding my bike, and there was a set amount of time.
Yeah, I get it. That was the latchkey kid.
Oh, latchkey kid, man.
Yeah, no. I came home every day from school. I would walk home, and if I wasn't playing a sport at the time, we had this little plaque that hang on the. We had this back here. Growing up where I grew up, there was always in every house, because it was so fucking cold in the winter, you had a room prior to the main entrance of the house. So you'd have an outside door and an inside door.
Right.
And you couldn't
open, kind of.
And you couldn't open the inside door until couldn't not CUNT, COULDN''T couldn't.
He gives me hell for might could. And
Yeah.
all of my Georgia friends will go, why?
and all of my upper Midwestern friends will give him shit for saying might could,
Yep.
and he gives me shit for saying
couldn't.
Wouldn't.
Couldn't.
It's all wouldn't,
Yeah, all the same.
couldn't. Here's the question: is it pop or soda?
Coke.
Well, you're Atlanta.
Atlanta.
Yeah,
And by the way, notice there's no second T there.
Atlanta.
Atlanta.
Yeah,
It's E-T.
no,
Not A-T even. It's E-T. Atlanta.
Atlanta. Do I say it right? That's the way I've learned
he
to
actually
say
does.
it.
Now, here, I've got one for you. And again, my Georgia friends will appreciate this. There's a city in New York and a city in Georgia by the same name.
Athens.
No.
No.
No, that's not the one I'm talking
I
about.
don't know. I'm guessing.
If there is at Athens, New York. I don't know.
I think there is.
But there is another city that starts with an A. Albany.
Albany.
Right. Okay. So I said it the correct English way just then.
Albany.
Albany. Right. So if you're from South Georgia, it's Albany.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's not quite, it's emphasized on the Benny as I just did, but I'm just saying it's Benny, B-E-N.
Yeah, B-E-N-Y.
Albany.
Albany. Albany.
Right.
But they say Albany.
Right. Well, no, not exactly.
Do they emphasize the second syllable, or
not, sometimes, yes. It's kind of like,
or is it just it's
kind of like
Albany?
Alachua and Alachua.
Now, you know, here,
Different locales right here.
I was about to talk about something, but you know how they pronounce, when I went to Wisconsin, years ago, and of course had my Alachua license plate, right? Hey,
Mike Bloodworth, go Gators!
hey.
He's definitely a Bulldog fan.
Well, somebody at the gas station says, "You're from Florida, but where is Alachua?"
Alachua.
Alachua. I said Alachua.
Alachua, yeah.
She goes, and he looked at me and goes, Oconomowoc? I said, yeah, Oconomowoc, not Akanakamawak. But another one that I ran into, okay, there's a city north of Washington, D.C. where the Orioles and the Ravens are from.
Okay.
How do you say that?
Baltimore.
Balmer. B-A-L-L-M-E-R.
Well, it's like Worcester, Massachusetts.
If you're from there, you say it Balmer. Balmer. Yeah, Worcester.
Yeah.
Worcester. Watch your sister.
Right. Watch. Well, they're getting another taste of what we're actually like.
Yes, we do stupid. We entertain each other with stupid shit like this. This is normal for us.
Yep.
Well,
Tammy Holcomb, welcome.
Maybe we're getting back on track.
Yes, we are.
Maybe the funk is leaving.
It's the loquacious libation.
It is. Not here. You're really seeing it.
Not the alcohol. We're talking about what we're doing.
Yeah, and here, you know what? Another thing, we started talking about the stupid shit craziness.
Yep.
Now you see what we mean by leave it all out there.
Leave it out there.
Just entertainment. We entertain ourselves. Dude, you know what I'm thinking. I know you do. Quintessential.
Yes. Oh, man. Well, I'm glad you guys have joined us tonight, especially seeing us, really getting cutting up over here.
And this started as a kind of a dry cocktail.
Yeah.
Not that this is a dry cocktail, but our conversation was kind of dry, and both of us said to each other prior to starting, we had a very off week. I
even had a couple of moments at the very beginning where I was going, damn, this is a long silence, dead air. If this was radio,
it was probably 10 milliseconds.
But if this was radio and we had a producer, they'd be sitting here giving us hell for.
Oh yeah, yeah, I know.
So luckily, it's not radio. It is free on the internet at the moment, anyway.
I don't have to worry about the FCC when I curse.
Right now, back to the craziness for just a second. One other thing, and this is, we're not going to go with world overall here. We're just going to go with the company that we're using to broadcast.
Oh yeah, did you see what he
Holy
said?
Crap! Zuckerberg, dude.
Holy shit!
Yeah,
I mean,
we appreciate you giving us this platform to do this, but dude, don't do that anymore.
Yeah. I completely forgot about that. I was floored. I mean, literally on the floor, laid out flat when I finally, this truth comes to light.
Yeah. So, anyway, back off of that. Let's.
If you don't know what we're talking about, just go Google search Mark Zuckerberg, and it'll be the first thing that comes up today.
Yeah. Letter to Jim Jordan. Check that out.
Yeah.
But, yes. There's too much craziness out there, dude. That's why you got to come in here.
That's why you do come in and look at our stupid asses.
For every Wednesday night, 8:30 on Facebook. Right now, it's on my music page at All Mad Music. We have the Facebook Loquacious Libations page at Loquacious Libations. We have the YouTube at Loquacious Libations. We have Instagram, Loquacious _Libations. That cover.
And it's all got the same logo. Now here, I did a little research for us.
Okay.
A black Hanes beefy tee with our logo on it is about $15.
So we got to get us a couple of those and hats. I got to have a hat.
I'm no different. I ain't got anything up there either. The sun is just as much my enemy as it is yours.
Right? Well, here's the funny part. In my normal day-to-day life, I don't wear a hat very much.
I wear them a lot.
And my reasoning on that is it's too damn hot. So I just walk past.
You know, it's funny, as I'm tootling around, a lot of times I'll take my hat off and put it on the stick.
Right.
And just let it sit there. You know.
Yeah. But
because it's too hot.
Dude.
It's been an exceptionally warm summer.
For you guys who are not follically challenged like us, you got nothing to catch the sweat.
No, it'll run down in your eyes. That's why I wear a hat.
Yeah. I have to keep a cloth in the car. I have to.
You know, I mean, I should wear a do-rag.
Right? It's got to be, whatever I wear, it's got to be lightweight. Because if it's too heavy, like even some of these, you see me in here.
Because then it heats you up. Hot. Right. It heats you up.
But, you know, our lights are not that hot.
No. This is great lighting. You got all white this week.
Yeah, I went with all white.
Kind of brightened it up.
Yeah,
it looks good on the camera though.
That's what I was thinking too, and the angles and everything. Because when this light was over there, we weren't getting enough light on the overall set. So I tried to kind of match. You know
what I think this I realized as I finally watched our video this week.
Yeah.
This set is 1970s disco.
Oh,
it's classic.
We opened up with Staying Alive one night.
And both of us will be going
right. Yes, we are crazy as usual.
Stupid.
Well, see, I'm mad.
We entertain ourselves by being stupid.
Right.
I mean, stupid is always funny. To me, at least. You know, I mean, here, I saw videos this week that are old, but my daughter brought them to my attention because she knew that I would be entertained by it. Here, I'll show you how I'm going to demonstrate how immature I am. Still, okay. It's this guy that's in his 30s and he pranks people, right? But he dresses up like he's fucking 90 and he walks around with a walker, right? And he'll be in a mall and he'll come up to some younger girls, like 20, some the girls, can you help me out? And he'll ask him for directions or ask him where a store is or I'm trying to get something for my granddaughter. Ask him something. And he always asks the question first. I want to get something from a store called Forever 21 for my granddaughter. And it's so funny. It's so stupid. It's funny.
Right?
Either that or he'll be going down an escalator and he'll just start ripping these fake farts, but it sounds real and the way he's bent over. And,
Here, faking sounds. Here, I'm going to go on a real tangent here.
Okay.
Just because this was in my field of vision when you mentioned it. The TARDIS.
Oh.
Okay. Do you remember Aiden's Halloween costume?
Yes.
I built Aiden one year.
A TARDIS. I mean, it was a life-size TARDIS.
A life-size TARDIS. Well, it was actually about 5 feet tall. Because I could not stand up.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You know what it was? It was a radiator box. An automobile radiator box. So it was about 5 feet tall, 2.5 by 2.5, all the way around or whatever. And I took that fucker and I went to Walmart and got like 10 cans of blue spray paint.
Yeah, which you would need that.
Yeah, because the cardboard just soaks that shit in.
Yeah.
But I wanted it to be light enough to carry around.
Well,
because my son was Doctor Number 10.
And
he had the brown pinstripe suit, the shirt.
I remember it.
The Converse.
I
tennis
said
shoes.
it was one of the greatest all-time Doctor Who costumes I'd ever seen.
Yeah, and I'll maybe try to post on the Facebook. I'll try to post a link to the album because I've got the Progression album in there.
Yes.
From the very beginning when it was a regular cardboard box all the way to when it became a TARDIS. So, long story short, too late, I know, but I walked around in this thing all night. It had handles on the inside of it. So I would
pick it up and walk
I
along.
had black shoes and black pants on. I would pick it up and walk behind him. Now, the top of it for the bulb, bring that over here for a second.
Yeah, no.
So the top of it, it's got a little bulb on it right here. So what I did was I did a pitched roof. Dude, I went on the internet and figured out how to do this pitched 30-degree roof or whatever. I don't remember the exact.
It's called a mansard roof.
Yeah. So I figured out how to do that with cardboard from another box and stuck that on top of the original box.
Oh, cool.
And then put a
I don't remember that, but I remember you making the TARDIS.
Yeah. And then put a Tupperware container, a square Tupperware container up in the top, right? And as I was walking, I had my phone making the noise and the flashlight pulsing so it would zzz, zzz, zzz on the bulb up top.
Classic.
Just had the phone laid in there like that. Had a Bluetooth speaker in the back of the damn thing.
Making the sound.
Rigged up a little cardboard carriage for this rectangle Bluetooth speaker that we had. And stuck it in the back of the box, and I would just pick it up and hit the button on the phone. Pulsing light on the top as we were walking down the street behind him.
If you're not a Doctor Who fan, shame on you, first of all.
Although the modern Who, I kind of lost it after Peter.
Now, see, I came into Doctor Who in 1980, the fall of 1982.
You got it earlier than I did, for sure.
Yeah,
you got PBS.
Yeah, it was on Sunday nights.
Yep.
In Madison.
I remember watching it a little bit back then.
Sunday nights in Madison. Now, I mean, that was my freshman year of college, and that's when a roommate of mine introduced me to Doctor Who. He's like, "Oh, this is a British show. You got to watch this. It's really interesting. If you like science fiction, you got to watch this."
Yeah, and then you watch it, and it's like this campy, crazy.
Well, it took me about 2 or 3 or maybe even 4 weeks to kind of get its hook in. But
what is this about?
I had nothing better to do on Sunday night because there was no Sunday night football back then.
It was either that or Disney.
What else? I'm
you were too old for Disney.
I'm not going to study.
Right.
I was a student athlete. Study? Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Why? But yeah, now I'm a new Who guy. I got in when Sci-Fi picked it up in the early 2000s.
I was going to say that's early 2000s.
Right, and Christopher Eccleston.
Okay.
So I watched that whole first series, the modern Who, as far as that goes. Got hooked on David Tennant.
Who was a really good Doctor Who.
He and Matt Smith were the best of the modern era, in my opinion.
Okay.
And we've been watching Matt Smith in the House of the Dragon thing, too. He's
okay.
a great actor.
Yeah, he is a good actor.
But anyway, back to the Doctor Who there. My son walked through while we were watching the episode about Pompeii.
Okay.
Which Peter Capaldi was in. So he walked in and, he's 5 years old, 4 years old at the time or something like that. And it was about Vesuvius, the volcano. And he'd been learning about volcanoes a little bit in kindergarten or whatever at the time. Because he was pretty damn young.
Well, yeah, no, I mean...
He wasn't full...
5 or 6 years old.
I mean,
you're just at kindergarten age.
I mean, because he was born in 2008.
Yeah.
And anyway. Point being, on all that, was he got hooked on David Tennant as his favorite Doctor. So that's what he was. And like I said, he had the whole brown pinstripe suit and the Converse. We even got him a pair of little glasses from Goodwill that they were just frames. So there were no,
But it looked right.
yeah, no lenses in it at all. But he had a little sonic screwdriver, and it made the noise, and the whole. It was the funniest thing. Jen dressed up as Rose Tyler,
Okay.
who was the companion
Yes.
for that particular doctor. And we just had the best time out there with him and got so many shouts of best parents ever as we walked past, and stuff like that. You know,
I remember when you built that box.
Halloween.
That was I was completely impressed with that. That whole I remember that. So
That was a lot of fun.
oh, absolutely, yeah. But no, that I think
I
it's
took a whole week off from work to make that damn thing.
well. This is so cool to see too, because this is the exact idea I've had in my head for a very long time.
To do that as your speakeasy entrance.
Well, and here, the way that I'm going to run it is the door that opens, which, if you know the TARDIS, it has
Right.
kind of French doors, so you open the doors.
Right.
You open
But
the doors.
only the right one opens.
Correct. You open that, you go in, and in a traditional police box, there's a phone in there for you to call the police.
Right.
Well, for my speakeasy, the box, if you walk in here, the phone is going to be on this side. Mm-hmm. Okay. This wall, I want to have it. You're going to get on the phone, and you're going to tell the operator you're looking for a blind tiger.
All right.
Now, why a blind tiger?
Yeah.
Because that was the passcode or the nickname and a passcode for many of the New York City speakeasies during
Really?
the Prohibition era. They were called
Okay.
blind pigs or blind tigers.
All right.
So the way that I want to engineer this is you say to the AI operator, will obviously be an AI
right.
at this point, I'm looking for a blind tiger, and then this whole wall will open, and you can walk into the speakeasy.
Oh,
now,
how
obviously,
cool is that?
I'll have to have another door to the speakeasy,
Right.
but that's kind of my concept in my head,
Right.
and I'm sure it can be engineered. I don't, I'm not an engineer, but I think that's just a great idea.
Yeah. It's been a lot of fun with Aiden with that too, because he kept that in his room for years after that. As a matter of fact, when we first moved in here, he wanted to bring it here, and it was made of cardboard. It was falling apart at that point.
Well, because
it was his 6th Halloween.
Because he played in it a lot.
Yeah.
No, did he use it every Halloween? Was he Dr. Who?
No. It was just that year for that. But after that, it became a fixture in his room.
Yeah,
So
I remember
he would
that.
use it not only for a TARDIS, in play acting or whatever, but mostly for a stuffed animal container.
Oh.
He had so many stuffed animals that he would open the door and put his stuffed animals in there and shut the door.
Good box for storing.
It was full, yeah. But by the time we moved into here at this apartment, it was just so torn up we could not bring it with us. So I started upstairs on his closet door, which is a walk-in closet, but it's a flat wall. Right?
Uh-huh.
So you've got the flat wall on there, and one year, I never did finish this, but one year I got him a decal of the police box, and I put it up at the top of the door on his closet, so it's bigger on the inside.
Makes perfect
Got
sense.
him a walk-in closet.
Bigger on the inside.
And I honestly, one of my ideas for the studio was to figure out some kind of TARDIS theme for it and have it be bigger on the inside like that too.
And I read this somewhere, but
good night, Sherry. See you next week.
yeah, we're
going a little long tonight.
Yeah, we are. Doesn't matter.
That's all right.
J.K. Rowling got the idea from for Harry Potter when they go into the tents. Bigger on the inside from that concept.
From the TARDIS.
Yes.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes total sense. Very cool. And I've always enjoyed it. But like I said, especially my 3 favorites.
We are showing our nerdiness.
Yes, we are. And that's cool.
Because we're having a conversation about Doctor Who.
Right.
We're two.
Oh, wait. I'm going to bring you in another one here.
We're two middle-aged dudes talking about Doctor Who.
Yeah, wait till you find out what I watched this afternoon. Star Trek: Strange New Worlds.
I've never seen it.
Okay.
So how does it rank?
All right. So you got Anson Mount playing Captain Christopher Pike.
Oh, so they went
This is
way back.
Right. So you got between Enterprise and the original series. Rebecca Romaine as number 1.
Now, didn't she play?
Majel Barrett
Yeah.
originally played number 1 in the original pilot, if you remember,
Interesting.
which was the Cage
Yes.
/ the Menagerie.
Menagerie.
We're really showing nerd shit now, y'all.
Yeah, but see, that was on prime time when I was a little
Yeah,
kid.
yeah. And see, it was reruns, after school reruns when I was coming up.
And yeah, now here, I got to tell a story. Story time.
Tangent.
When I was in my last year of school in Madison, my roommates and I, before Doctor Who would come on
Right.
another station, they'd play reruns of the original Star Trek. Okay?
Spock.
Yes.
Sorry.
Okay. Damn it, Jim. I'm just a doctor. We would be on some herbal stimulant. That's a good way to put it, I guess.
You were taking a ride to space.
And what we would do, there was 3 of us every week. We would go to the TV. I mean, we'd be like this on the TV. Okay, and if you remember the beginning of that, the ship would be one of the stars, and we
Come right at you.
so we would have to pick which star was going to be
Which
the
star's
ship.
going to be the Enterprise?
And whoever was closest got the next hit.
That's too funny. Sorry, I got choked up there.
Because all of my roommates were just as immature as I still am.
Right. So anyway, back to Anson Mount and that crew there. They do a pretty good job of it. Guess who plays Spock? Ethan Peck. Grandson.
Yeah.
Grandson of Gregory
Peck
plays Spock on it. So they're doing a pretty good job with it. But here's the interesting part. This afternoon's episode, I'm still catching up. Obviously, the season's been over for a little while, and I've been watching other stuff. And there are things that Betty won't watch, and science fiction is one of them. And you know how big I am on sci-fi, so I get really backed up on stuff.
Personally, my conspiracy tangent, I think a lot of science fiction is going to be science fact and not to distant future.
I don't doubt it at all. I mean, dude, I grew up reading Arthur C. Clarke.
Yeah,
Enough said.
Yeah.
As far as that goes. But back to today's Strange New Worlds, there was a special guest star today. It was a crossover episode between the Lower Decks, which is an animated show.
Okay, I'm not familiar with that at all.
Okay, so Lower Decks stars the guy that plays Huey on The Boys, son of Quaid. I can't remember his first name now right off the top of my head, but it's Randy Quaid's son.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, he was guest starring on there and everything. It was just really kind of funny how they wove all that around and everything, but
interesting enough for me to go, that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, Strange New Worlds, they've really done a pretty good job with it overall. But one thing I'm worried about is I know that there's a musical episode coming up.
It might.
That I haven't seen yet. So any of y'all seen it, let me know what you think about it. I probably don't have that many nerds out there.
Hold my breath for that one.
Right. But yeah, it's been fun watching that one though.
Yeah. All the Star Trek stuff, just like, unfortunately, the Star Wars went off the rails.
And honestly, Star Trek has done that to an extent as well.
Has it?
There was a political candidate that made an appearance as the president of the Federation.
I haven't kept up with it.
I'll figure
Just because
we don't want to go with the stupid crap around here. See you, Carmen. We're not
see you next week, Carmen.
Mention who it is, but those of you who can look that stuff up will or whatever. But yeah,
well, here I was going to say I haven't kept up with it because I don't have a TV.
Right. Yeah, he ditched his a while back. He didn't pull the Elvis like my buddy Lee did, but
Yeah, I took my TV.
wonder how many people get that reference.
I have a nice flat screen. Had a very nice early. I was an early adapter to the flat screen, so I paid a ridiculous amount of money. I took my flat screen, I put it out on the curb, and put a note on Craigslist. Come and get it, and you're free. It wasn't 15 minutes. That fucker was gone.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah,
Dude, if you told me about it, I would have come got it.
it was an LED, Samsung LED, 46-inch, and I came to the realization that television programming is programming you.
Oops.
Oh, you got to put it on the speakers.
Yeah, we're going to get the Bluetooth going here.
Yeah.
What the hell? Yeah.
You
There's
know-
our tech error for the week.
You know what's funny?
What's that?
Whether we've been live streaming or not, we get to a certain point where we know it's like time to wrap it up. Even though we could carry on the Star Trek conversation for another hour.
I could keep going with that because, like
I
I
know.
said, that was my after school.
But see-
here, Granddaddy would come in from work, and instead of going and watching whatever the last game show of the day was with Merv, which was my grandmother's nickname, he would come in and
watch
sit
Star Trek
me
with you?
in their bedroom and just sit on the edge of the bed and watch Star Trek with me. So that's where my Star Trek fascination started out. Dude, I got to see Star Trek 3 as a double feature with Star Trek 2 at the Fox Theater in Atlanta.
Oh, cool. Very cool.
Yeah. And that same week, we also saw Return of the Jedi, I think it was. They had a science fiction festival that week.
I remember seeing, now here, I remember my mom was the science fiction fan.
Granddad here.
Okay, so my mom made me watch Star Trek when I was a kid. It was on CBS, I think. Mm-hmm. My dad would be because my dad was just thought that was a bunch of, well, my dad's an interesting man, put it that way.
I'm listening to him. I'm setting a speaker over here. Sorry.
I'll stay in the frame.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you the story. Well, my mom took me and my sister in 1976 kicking and screaming to the theater. Because I didn't want to go. Because I wanted to go out with my friends and play baseball or play basketball or something, what 6th and 7th grade year old boys do in the summertime.
Right.
They go out and play. Okay. Well, at least, no. Back in 1976 or 77, just a little loud.
Sorry.
What?
Jeez.
Well, my mom took me and my sister to the kicking and screaming to the theater for a matinee because it was cheaper,
Right.
and we saw Star Trek the first week it came out.
So the original motion picture?
The original motion picture.
Right.
It came
Cool.
on the Friday, and we saw it on the following Wednesday or Thursday. My mom was a nurse, and she had 2 days off in the middle of the week,
Yeah.
and because she made more money working the weekends.
Right.
So we went to see Star Wars, and that was it for me. I was hooked. I mean, I didn't know what I was going to see.
Right.
Okay. Now, if she would have just said, "Well, it's like Star Trek, but it's better,"
Right.
I wouldn't have been kicking and screaming.
I say I'm still partial to Trek over Star Wars to this day.
I think that they've done a better picture better job in the theater with Star Trek. From the original to now.
Right.
And even going up through the stuff that what's his name did. The Disney guy.
There we go.
The Iron Man. I can't think of his name.
Robert Downey Jr.?
No.
No.
In the original Iron Man, he was Robert Downey's chauffeur. He directed
John Favreau. Yeah.
he directed
can't
the
pronounce
stuff
that
on
correctly.
Disney.
Oh, that's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
Favreau did all this.
Marvel. Yeah.
All this stuff, and I mean, he did a fantastic job. He reincarnated Luke Skywalker, and that's the kind of where my Star Wars knowledge really kind of ends there.
Well, guys, we're going to go ahead and jump ourselves now. So you guys have a great week. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube. We are 9 subscribers away from being able
getting
to go
back live.
Yeah. So please go to our YouTube. That's at Loquacious
Hey,
Libations.
just
Instagram
make up
Loquacious
an email
_libations.
and subscribe again.
Yes, do it. Whatever you need to do to help us out here. You guys have a great week. We will see you
Next week
Wednesday
for the king of all cocktails,
a classic martini.
a classic martini.
Right. See you guys next week.
Thanks. Peace.